There we go. Hello, welcome back to the Christ is All podcast. This is from Genesis Revelation. We're starting Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Lord, thank you for giving us eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand the wisdom of your word, especially in these poetic books. So we're in Ecclesiastes, starting in chapter 1. I mean, there's not much to it. We made our way through Psalms and Proverbs, and we got the bulk of it. We're almost to Isaiah and Jeremiah and Lamentations and Ezekiel. Those are very long chapters or very long books in and of themselves. But I've been wanting to get to them for, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just like story progressive reasonings. Like those books tell like a story. They have like a chronology to them. Mm-hmm. So beginning in verse 1, Jay will be reading the NLT, and we're going to do this one. And let's see. If I do this, does this update? I might have crashed the system. Let me make sure I don't do that ever again. All right, anyway. Tried and true, whatever this one is called. So it says, the words of the preacher, I'm just going to look at this, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. What do you think we're talking about? Who do you think is talking?
Who's talking?
Yeah. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Who do you think this is?
Jesus?
Let's not guess. Let's think.
King David's son. Oh, sorry. I forgot who that was.
Okay, let us know when you remember. Verse 2 says, vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit has a man from his labor in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to place where it arose. The wind goes toward the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. I had a teacher in college. She was she wasn't Mexican, but she was something down there, and she would say circuit. Mm-hmm. The circuit. God bless her. She was actually one of my favorite teachers. People didn't like her, but she's actually pretty cool. As in, like, helpful as a teacher. What was her name? I don't know. Let me not say that publicly. I did just remember her name, though. All right. Verse 7 says, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from which the rivers come, there they run, or there they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is what will be. Look at that. Oh, I'll just finish it off. That which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. You see that bar? That's why I stopped. He rhymed done with sun. Like, who's doing that? Who's doing that? Mm-hmm. Is there anything of which it may be said, see, this is new? You know, I like the definition that we saw in the Bible on Sunday about new, of recent origin. Is there anything of which may be said, see, this is of recent origin? It has already been in ancient times before us. I mean, he was saying that back in his day. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come by those who will come after. And, he's expressing his insight about the vanity of vanities. Everything is vain. Everything natural is vain. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. This burdensome task God has given to the sons of men, by which they may be exercised. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. See, what is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. I communed with my heart, saying, look, I have attained greatness and have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem. My heart has understood great wisdom and knowledge, and I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. So let me read this again at verse 16. So, okay, yeah, 16. He says, I communed with my heart, saying, look after madness, and of mirth, what does it accomplish? Maybe pleasure. I searched in my heart. I think you told me what that means the other day, too.
What?
Mirth. I searched in my heart how to gratify. That's your cue to look it up. I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold of folly, till I might see. I would have stopped, but this verse is a whole paragraph. Okay, I'll just start over.
Great amusement or laughter.
I wasn't too off with pleasure. No, that's E.
It says right here, M-I-R-T-H.
Okay. So I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with, mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, but surely this also was vanity. Gardens and orchards, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants, and had servants born in my house. Yes, I had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold, and the special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers, the delights of the sons of men, and musical instruments of all kinds. So I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor. And this was my reward for all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. So he's saying, I've tried the best of the best. I acquired the best of the best. I was sought after by the best of the best. I sought after the best of the best. Whatever you could do, I did. I withheld myself from nothing. And he says, none of this profited me at all. Nothing was to gain from this. And that's what people, I can't skip all the way to the end. We'll get to the bottom of this in due time. Verse 12, then I turned myself to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who succeeds the king? Only what he has already done. Then I saw that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. That's powerful though. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. Yet I myself perceived. I need to make sure I have verse 13 highlighted. That's something I want to recognize when I open up that book to that chapter. Oops. Two. Nope, I don't have it. All right. What's going on here?
It was a little more full than I thought.
Vanity of vanities. All right. I didn't even finish verse 14. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. Yet I myself perceive that the same event happens to them all. What event do you think that is? to the foolish and the wise.
Wait, which one did you read?
14, the end.
The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. Yet I myself perceive that the same event happens to them all. They can't see.
Not that deep.
Oh. What?
Die. Wise men and fools both die. So I said in my heart, as it happens to the fool, it also happens to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this is also vanity. There is no more remembrance of the wise than of the fool forever, since all that now is will be forgotten in the days to come. And how does a wise man die? Same as a fool. Therefore I hated life, because the work that was done under the sun was distressing to me, for all is vanity and grasping for the wind. Then I hated all my labor in which I had toiled under the sun, because this is how those rich people that kill themselves, this is what they come to realize. They get everything that you could possibly get in life, and it still feels like grasping for the wind, because they're living. Well, we'll figure out what he says at the end of this book. So then he started to hate his life. He started to hate laboring, because everything he did under the sun was not profitable for eternity's sake, right? He realized there's really nothing that makes him different from any other men, because all men die the same. Verse 19 says, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? Oh, wait, let's just start at 18 again. Then I hated all my labor in which I had toiled under the sun, because I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? So check that out, right? I could literally build an empire, but, who's to say the person that comes after me to look after these things, if he's wise enough to keep it and build it, or if he'll be foolish and lose it all. So, after I'm dead and gone, what I built up, he says, it really doesn't matter. Now, let's not take this for our own, what's the word I'm looking for? Life principle here, because there's a way to make these things matter. And we'll get to it at the bottom of this book. But let's continue. And who knows of God? So this is another reason to point to the Lord. For who can get, or who can enjoy, or who can have enjoyment? That happens. It's probably fine. But on the recording, it'll be off. It probably just paused. But it is what it is. Can't do nothing about that. For who can eat, or who can have enjoyment more than I? For God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight. But to the sinner he gives the work of gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. That is also vanity and grasping for the wind. So let's keep in mind, I have this highlighted. Let's keep in mind that at the end here of chapter 2, what he starts to do is draw a divide between people who are righteous. Yeah, I'll just say that way. Between people who are righteous or right before God is what I was tripping up on. So there's a divide between people who are right with God and people who are not right with God. So the labor of someone who's not right with God does not end in rest, does not end in fulfillment. It doesn't end with being satisfied. But when you are good before the Lord, your labor does tend to you being fulfilled, tend to you having rest, because that comes from the hand of the Lord. And also, and likewise, you don't even have to labor as intensely as somebody who is not right before the Lord, because what happens is God causes people, as it says here, who sin, or sinners, he gives them the work of gathering and collecting, just so God can then turn around and give their the fruit of their labor, the sinner's labor, to people who are pleasing to God. Right? And so what does he say? Working without the Lord, or working and not being favored in God's eyes, is vanity. It's what Patrick Ted always reads, Psalm 127. Unless the Lord watches the city, the person that sits on the wall watches the city in vain. Unless the Lord builds the house, the person that labors in vain. And so that's why. The labor of someone who is not co-laboring with God is vanity. And then the labor of a sinner is double vanity, because God just redistributes your wealth. It's not even yours. All right, I think we'll finish here in chapter 3. Let's just be a quick episode. I'm not feeling to go long here because I'm not really like, what's the word here? It's not pressing. You know what I mean? Like, are you with me? Are you just here? And then are we just here, or are we with the text? You know what I'm saying? Let's see how chapter 3 ends. We obviously are getting through this quicker than when we were getting through the Proverbs. All right, verse 1 of chapter 3. This chapter has one of my favorite verses in the Bible, by the way. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose. Actually, can you read this?
Mm-hmm. How much? Just keep going.
Can you read read all the way through 8.
For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace.
Yeah, that was good. I like what they said. Can you read verse 7 again?
A time to tear and a time to mend.
I like that they say it like that. A time to mend is what I got stuck on. But, you know, a time to tear and a time to mend. I like that they use the word mend because it then makes you like recalculate what they might mean by tear, right? So there is a time to divide or separate even. And there is a time to mend things that have been separated. But, you know, I consider like when it says don't be unequally yoked with non-believers, all right, that's a time to separate. When God's calling you to go somewhere, even though you like where you're at, that's a time to separate. And then there's a time to mend, where it's like, even though I went to go do the work of the Lord and be separate, there will be a time where typically God might call you back. When Jesus went to go try to minister in his hometown, they didn't want to receive him. He did very little miracles that he was capable of doing because of the people's unbelief. And so it was a time to tear. He separated himself from there. But eventually he did go back after his fame grew and the people started to believe on him. So there's a time to mend as well. Not just spoken, I've done. And this is a gift from God. So taxes are not a gift from God. Verse 14 says, I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing can be taken from it. God does it. I like this a lot, actually. He says, I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it that men should fear before him. That which has already been and what is to be has already been. And God requires an account of what is past. Can you read 14 and 15 NLT?
This is better in the NLT, or easier. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing could be added to it or taken from it. God's purpose is that people should fear him. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again.
I would switch certain words there, but I do like how they do capture the idea very well. Yeah, our connection is a little funky today, so we'll end with this chapter and we'll just hope for the best Saturday. But did you call the Wi-Fi people?
No, not today.
Okay, let's do that after this. What's up, Mike? We're finishing in chapter 3 here. Then we'll be back. We'll be back Saturday. And a little announcement on this Wednesday. I'm not sure what I'm going to teach on. There's some things that I have an idea for. I might want to talk about how Revelation 12:11 points to the blood of the Lamb and the anointing, because it's the anointing that causes for testimonies to happen. when it talks about we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimonies. Testimonies are only possible because of the anointing, lifting the heavy burden and destroying the yoke. So there's that. And then, and also to that as well, I want to do a video going through why Jesus, especially after Pastor Jonathan preached about that on Friday when they did the outreach in Pittsburgh. And I could do both this week and do one as a bread and butter. But I think potentially both of those videos could be really long. So I might just save them for week to week instead of doing one of them as a bread and butter, because I'm kind of going to study along with the teaching. I have an idea, like I have a skeleton of like, this is where it says that, but I'm just going to kind of like flow with it. I was reading Bishop Dag's book about like a bajillion ways to preach salvation. He has some chapters in there explaining why people believe in Jesus or why you can trust in Jesus, things of that nature. And I want to bring those up. I even formed some of my own points as well. So that's probably just going to be the topic these 2 weeks. And I'll definitely do like a salvation prayer at the end of these next 2 chapters. But yeah, I'm looking at this Wi-Fi connect and disconnect, and I don't want to go too far today if the Wi-Fi and the connection is being a little weird like that. So Jay, can you just finish this chapter?
The injustices of life. I also noticed that under the sun there is evil in the courtroom. Yes, even the courts of law are corrupt. I said to myself, in due season God will judge everyone, both good and bad, for all their deeds. I also thought about the human condition, how God proves to people that they are like animals. For people and animals share the same fate, both breathe and both must die. So people have no real advantage over the animals. How meaningless. Both go to the same place, they came from dust, and they return to dust. For who can prove that the human spirit goes up and the spirit of animals goes down into the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better for people than to be happy with their work. That is our lot in life. And no one can bring us back to see what happens after we die. So does he just like not know?
Well, obviously what he's saying is true because it's in the Bible. So we're not speaking against truth. You can do nothing against the truth, only for the truth. Even lying just creates a bigger desire for the truth, because in the presence of a lie, there's more demand for the truth. The truth will be found out. Every lie will be exposed. So he's not lying. And to a certain person, this is true. We have moments in the Bible where, there's a witch that brings back the spirit of the prophet Samuel, and they talk to him. He prophesies, and what he prophesies happens like the next day. But keep in mind, when we're talking about the book of Ecclesiastes, it's called Ecclesiastes for a reason. Like, we know the word ecclesia means the called out ones in the church. So let me look at what Ecclesiastes means before I say what I'm saying. No, not cool. Yes. One who gathers people together. So when you consider, why do we name this book, or why is this book named, not we, why did the Holy Spirit or the people name this book One Who Gathers People Together? Because this book is literally talking about people. It's talking about the vanity of the flesh, the vanity of what's natural, from the perspective of a human being towards other human beings. So no human being can bring another human being back up to life. And so Jesus literally bringing people back to life is another proof of his divinity. Because when you read the book of Ecclesiastes, he's just going through the limitations of men and the vanity of men's work and labor. All of this is from the perspective of what's natural. And then, when we get to chapter 12, he brings an end to this, or a conclusion to all of this stuff. It's like everything in the natural is vain. And I perceive that there's really only one true purpose for men, and that's to serve God. If we're not serving